Mr. Wilson,
Mr.
South
Chairman.
Carolina. Mr. Wilson is recognized.
Thank you very much, Chairman Brian Mast, and thank you for your leadership on this very important hearing. In the past, I have supported the very inspiring messages and missions of American outreach. I have, though, sounded the alarm for abuse and wasteful spending in aid programs, sadly, for years. We've routinely seen aid diverted to dictators such as Assad of Syria and oppressing the very people it was meant to help. The Biden administration insanely provided and funded woke, deranged depravity in Syria instead of trying to help the people, and the UN delivered aid through the regime itself to the people as they were being slaughtered by Bashar al-Assad. Legitimate aid was diverted from the needed earthquake recovery that occurred there in Syria. Fortunately, Assad is now removed by the people of Syria, and he is in hiding, of course, in the appropriate location, Moscow, with war criminal Putin. Another example, Mr. Primarak, is the tragic example of dictator diversion, and that is in Tunisia. Once a shining success of the Arab Spring and partner in North America, it's now been turned into a full-blown dictatorship by Kais Saied. While Millennium Challenge Corporation rightfully suspended aid, USAID sent $30 million to cover unclear programs while the dictator has corrupted the economy, destroying jobs. What can be done to stop propping dictators and also aid being diverted, as you correctly identified, even to terrorists themselves? Mr. Primarak?
Yes, sir. I'm not familiar with the situation in Tunisia, but this happens a lot. I think there's a lot of goodwill in these programs. There's a lot of good programs overall. But the problem is that very often these things just go on year after year after year, and there's no changes. We're actually propping up bad regimes and socialism. I was in Mozambique in October for the elections there. We have a Marxist-Leninist regime. They stole the election. We're spending $1 billion, $500 million to $1 billion a year. And then what happens? There's no reform. We're supporting socialism. And the government, just 2 months before we came there, provided their port in order to allow the Chinese Navy to project their power into the Western Indian Ocean. So there has to be a much better affinity between what we do on the development aid side and the diplomacy, where we put our ambassadors on the hook to make sure these things don't happen. Thank you.
And indeed, we've seen in the Republic of Georgia the corrupted election of October, where the legitimate president, Salome Zurfishvili, has been replaced by a Georgian Dream, which, as you identify, ports. Indeed, the Chinese Communist Party has taken over the port there in Georgia on the Black Sea. And simultaneously, the Georgian Dream dictatorship in Tbilisi has reached out to work closely with Tehran at the same time as Tehran has sent assassins to murder Donald Trump. With that in mind, thank goodness we have good people like our congressional alumnus, Ted Yoho, here. And so, Ted, delivery mechanisms for aid have been co-opted by enemies of the United States running the UN. Fortunately, President Trump has appointed Elise Stefanik as the UN ambassador in the tradition of Ambassador Nikki Haley, who will stand firm for America first. Many of the nonprofits that are doing the bidding of dictators are being supported. What can we do to ensure that indeed these agencies are working for the people we're trying to help and not prop up dictators or support terrorists?
I think the biggest thing is just oversight, and we need to follow up on the oversight. We hear every year how many erroneous spending programs there are, how money's being wasted. We hear those reports, but yet when I was in Congress, I didn't see us acting. It was hard to get everybody to act, and that's where I go back to the purity of purpose and what is the mission. We have to stay within those guardrails, and we need to make sure, well, the body of Congress needs to make sure that they stay that way. And it's a tough thing. You know, if it was a static world, it would be easy, but it's a tough world.
And also in the best Florida tradition, our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has announced just last week a great letter to Chairman Mast about how they would be stepping in to identify programs and promote those that promote the people of legitimately in the world who need it. I yield back.
Thank you, Representative Wilson.